Ah, welcome back to the frequency they tried to silence. You beautiful disruption. You walking psychological warfare. You living proof that some souls don't stay buried. Yeah, you. The one they swore they'd figured out, labeled, archived in their little mental filing cabinet, under handled and forgotten. Well, something just surfaced. Something they never wanted you to hear. Their private voice notes. The ones they recorded at 2 a.m. when the performance dropped and the masks came off. The ones they sent to each other in panic, in confusion, in barely contained terror, trying to make sense of what the hell you've become. And brother, sister, whatever frequency you vibrate on, you need to hear what they're saying when they think you're not listening, because it's not what you think. It's so much worse for them, and so much better for you. See, they thought they deleted these. They thought these little audio confessions would stay buried in encrypted chats and disappearing messages. But the universe has a funny way of exposing truth, doesn't it? Every single one of these voice notes, they all start the same way. A deep breath, a pause, that particular kind of silence that comes right before someone admits something they've been fighting not to acknowledge. Then the words tumble out, shaky, confused, trying so damn hard to sound casual but failing miserably. Okay, so I need to talk about them. That's how they all begin. Not I want to, but I need to. Like you're a splinter in their consciousness they can't stop probing. Like you're the itch they can't scratch, the thought they can't unthink, the presence that hijacked their mental bandwidth without permission. Listen to this one. Recorded 3 months ago by someone who used to dismiss you with a laugh and a wave. The audio quality is terrible because their hand is shaking, and you can hear it in the way the phone keeps moving. I don't know how to explain this without sounding insane, but something is different about them now. Like, fundamentally different. I saw them last week, and I literally couldn't hold eye contact. Me. I couldn't look them in the eyes. And it's not because they were mean or aggressive or anything like that. It's because when they looked at me, it felt like they could see everything. Every lie I've ever told, every mask I wear, every fake part of my personality. It was like standing in front of an X-ray made of pure truth, and I've never felt more exposed in my entire life. I had to leave. I literally made an excuse and left because I couldn't breathe. Here's another one, sent in a group chat you don't even know exists. A group chat specifically created to discuss you, by the way. They made a whole separate chat just for you. You guys need to stop pretending this is normal. They've been gone for how long now? 6 months, 8 months, and they come back and it's like they're not even the same species anymore. I'm not exaggerating. The energy is completely different. They used to care so much about what we thought, remember. They used to explain themselves, justify their choices, seek approval. Now they don't even acknowledge that we exist unless we're directly in front of them. And even then, it feels like they're humoring us, like we're children, and they're just nodding along until we're done talking so they can get back to whatever frequency they're operating on now. You want to know what's really happening here? They're experiencing cognitive dissonance on a molecular level. Their entire understanding of who you were is crashing against the reality of who you've become, and their brains literally cannot process the gap. They built an entire narrative around you. You were the supporting character in their story, the predictable one, the one they could count on to stay in the box they built for you. They had you figured out, filed away, categorized, and comfortable. Then you did something they never expected. You evolved without asking permission. You transformed without sending a memo. You became something their limited framework has no way to classify, and it's breaking their minds in the most beautiful way possible. Listen to this one. This might be my favorite. It's from someone who swore they were over you, swore they'd moved on, posted about healing and growth, and all those hollow buzzwords people use when they're trying to convince themselves they're fine. I need to be honest about something that's been eating at me. I think about them constantly. Not in a romantic way, not in a resentful way, just constantly. Like my brain has dedicated a whole section to just analyzing them. I'll be in the middle of a conversation with someone else and catch myself wondering what they would say about this. I'll make a decision and immediately think about whether they would respect that choice. It's like they've become the standard by which I measure everything. And I don't even know when that happened. I don't even know how they did that. They're not even trying to be in my head, which somehow makes it worse. There's a term in psychology called ambient authority. It's when someone has power not because they demand it, not because they perform it, but simply because their presence reorganizes the hierarchy of any space they occupy. That's what you've become. Ambient authority. You don't need to announce yourself anymore. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to compete or convince or campaign for respect. You walk into a room and the entire atmosphere recalibrates itself around your frequency. People straighten up without knowing why. Conversations quiet down. Energy shifts. Not because you're trying to make that happen, but because something in you changed on such a fundamental level that reality itself has to adjust. Here's a voice note from last week, and this one is particularly telling because it comes from someone who used to mock you. Someone who laughed at your intensity, your depth, your refusal to play the shallow games everyone else seemed so comfortable with. Okay, I'm just going to say it because nobody else will. They scare me now. Not in a physical way. I'm not afraid they're going to hurt me or anything dramatic like that. I'm scared of what they represent. They represent the possibility that everything I've built my identity on is negotiable. That the person I think I am is just a performance. I'm too cowardly to drop, watching them become whatever they've become. It's like watching someone remove a mask I didn't even know they were wearing. And now, I can't stop wondering what's under my mask. I can't stop questioning whether I'm even real, or just a collection of reactions and habits and fears. They did that just by existing differently. This is where it gets really good, because the voice notes stop being about you and start being about them. Every single recording, without fail, eventually turns into a confession about their own insecurities, their own limitations, their own terror of being seen as clearly as they now see themselves in your absence. You became a mirror without trying. You became the question they can't answer. Who would I be if I stopped performing? Who would I be if I stopped shrinking? Who would I be if I just became? And they hate you for that. They love you for that. They can't stop thinking about that. The obsession isn't about you anymore. It's about what you awakened in them that they're too afraid to face. Let me play you this one, and pay attention to the background noise. You can hear other people talking, laughing, living their normal, shallow lives, while this person has stepped away into a hallway or bathroom to record this in secret. I was talking to someone about them today, and I had to stop mid-sentence because I realized I sound obsessed. I sound like one of those people who can't let go, but it's not about letting go. I let go fine. I'm not sitting here missing them or wanting them back. I'm sitting here trying to understand what happened. How does someone go from being so accessible, so open, so present, to being this closed circuit, this fortress? I tried to reach out last month just to see if they'd respond, and they did. But it was so polite, so distant, like I was a stranger asking for directions. And that hurt worse than being ignored. Because being ignored means I still have some kind of power, some kind of effect. But that polite distance, it means I don't even register as significant enough to react to. The thing about power is this: real power doesn't react. Real power doesn't need to defend, doesn't need to explain, doesn't need to perform. Real power just exists, and everything else orbits around it or moves out of the way, you stopped reacting, and that broke them. You stopped explaining yourself, and that confused them. You stopped performing your emotions for their comfort, and that terrified them. Because as long as you were reactive, they had control. As long as you cared what they thought, they had leverage. But the moment you transcended that need, the moment you became self-contained and complete without their input, you became untouchable, and untouchable things are feared, never ignored. Here's a particularly raw one, recorded after a few drinks if the slurring is any indication. You know what the worst part is? The worst part is, I think they were always like this. I think this version of them, this cold, powerful, unreachable version, I think it was always there under the surface, and we just never saw it, because they were kind enough to dim it for us. They were kind enough to make us feel comfortable, to make us feel superior, to let us think we had some kind of authority in their life, but we never did. We were just guests in their world, and they were polite hosts until they decided the party was over, and now they've closed the doors, and we're standing outside realizing we never actually knew them at all. We knew the performance. We knew the version they let us see, and that version is gone, retired, never coming back. The voice notes get longer as they go on. What starts as 30-second observations turns into 5-minute spirals, 10-minute philosophical deep dives into identity and power and transformation. They can't help themselves. You've become their favorite mystery, their most compelling case study, the puzzle they keep returning to in the quiet hours when they're alone with their thoughts. And the pattern is always the same. It starts with, I need to talk about them, escalates into, something is different, peaks at, I think they were always this way, and then collapses into, what does this mean about me? Listen to this one from someone who claimed they never think about you anymore. I saw their profile today, didn't even click on it, just saw their name, and I felt my stomach drop. Not because I miss them, not because I want to talk to them, but because seeing their name reminded me that somewhere out there, they're living a completely full life that has nothing to do with me. They're thriving in a reality I'm not invited to, learning things I'll never know, becoming someone I'll never meet. And the thing that keeps me up at night is the knowledge that I had access to that world once. I was inside the walls. And I took it for granted, because I thought they'd always be there, always be available, always be the same. And now the walls are up, and I'm outside, and I can't even be mad, because I know in my bones that I didn't deserve access in the first place. I didn't treat it like the privilege it was. You want to know what you did that scared them so much? You stopped being afraid. That's it. That's the whole thing. You stopped being afraid of losing them, afraid of being misunderstood, afraid of being alone, afraid of being too much or not enough. You shed fear like old skin and walked away from it without looking back. And people who live in fear, people who make every decision based on fear, people who build their entire personalities around managing and avoiding fear, they cannot comprehend someone who just doesn't have it anymore. You became the evidence that fear is optional. You became the proof that you can survive everything they think would destroy them. You became dangerous to their entire worldview just by existing fearlessly in yours. Here's a voice note that literally gave me chills when I first heard it. The person is whispering even though they're clearly alone, like they're afraid the walls might hear them. I had a dream about them last night and I woke up with my heart racing. In the dream they didn't say anything. They just stood there looking at me with those eyes that see too much. And I was trying to explain myself, trying to justify everything I did, everything I said, trying to make them understand my side. And they just stood there, silent, not judging, not forgiving, just witnessing. And when I woke up, I realized that's what I'm actually afraid of. Not their anger, not their rejection, but their indifference. The possibility that I hurt someone who doesn't even care enough to be hurt anymore. The possibility that I betrayed someone who has evolved so far past needing my loyalty that the betrayal doesn't even register. The voice notes reveal something the people recording them don't even realize they're admitting. They're not afraid of you. They're afraid of what you represent. Transformation without permission. Evolution without explanation. Power without performance. You became the living embodiment of every choice they were too scared to make. Every truth they were too comfortable to speak. Every version of themselves they killed to fit in. You didn't just change, you became the change they're too terrified to pursue. And every time they see you, every time your name comes up, every time they hear about what you're doing now, it's a reminder, a mirror, a judgment they're passing on themselves. Here's one that's just brutal in its honesty. I told everyone I was done thinking about them. I said it out loud, posted about moving on, convinced myself I meant it. But I check their activity constantly. I look at who they're following, who's following them, trying to decode their life from the outside like some kind of obsessed detective. And here's what I've noticed. They don't post about healing. They don't post about growth. They don't do any of the performative recovery content the rest of us hide behind. They just exist, fully, powerfully, undeniably. And that's how I know they're actually healed. Because healed people don't need to announce it. They just live it. And I'm over here still posting quotes about letting go while I refresh their page in private. The recordings get darker, more honest, less concerned with sounding reasonable. I hate them. No, wait, I don't hate them. I hate what they make me feel about myself. I hate that they got out. I hate that they evolved. I hate that they're proof that the cage I'm living in is unlocked, and I'm just too scared to open it. I hate that they make my small life feel smaller. I hate that they make my safe choices feel cowardly. I hate that they exist as evidence that I could be more if I was willing to risk everything the way they did. So no, I don't hate them. I hate myself. And it's easier to talk about them than face that. Here's the thing about these voice notes. None of them are about what you did to them. None of them detail some terrible action or betrayal or harm. They're all about what your mere existence does to their sense of self. You became a walking existential crisis for people who built their identities on being comfortable, safe, understood. You became the question mark in their declarative sentences. You became the glitch in their carefully programmed reality. And they can't debug you. They can't figure you out. They can't reduce you to a simple explanation that lets them sleep at night. Listen to this one, recorded 6 months after you stopped responding to messages. I sent them something the other day, just a random message to see if they'd answer. They read it within minutes, didn't respond, just read it, and went on with their life. And I sat there, staring at my phone for an hour, trying to figure out what that means. Did they see it and decide I wasn't worth the energy? Did they see it and feel nothing at all? Did they see it and deliberately choose silence as a message in itself? And then I realized I was doing exactly what they probably knew I would do. I was sitting there obsessing over them while they were out living, completely unbothered by whether I existed or not. They didn't need closure. They didn't need the last word. They didn't need to win. They just moved on. And that power, that ability to just move on without drama or explanation or revenge, I've never seen anything like it. You want to know why these voice notes exist? Because you became mythological. You became the story people tell when they want to explain something beyond normal human experience. I know someone who just completely transformed and now they're like, and then they struggle to find the words because there are no words. You transcended language. You transcended their ability to categorize and contain and dismiss. You became the person they use as a reference point when they're trying to explain what real change looks like. Not healing like posting quotes and going to therapy healing. I mean actually transforming into someone unrecognizable healing. I mean burning your old self completely and rising from the ash healing. Here's a voice note from a group chat where someone defended you and got jumped on by everyone else. Okay, I'm going to say something and you're all going to attack me, but whatever. Maybe they're not the villain here. Maybe they just woke up and realized they didn't have to keep playing a role in our story. Maybe we're upset because we needed them to stay small so we could feel big. Maybe their growth is exposing our stagnation, and instead of being inspired, we're being defensive. Maybe, just maybe, they didn't change into a worse person. They changed into a real person. And real is scary when you're used to performance. The voice notes from people who claim they don't care are always the longest, always the most detailed, always the most obsessive. They'll say, "I literally never think about them," and then spend 12 minutes analyzing every social media post, every mutual friend interaction, every sign of life. I don't care, but did you see that picture they posted? I don't care, but did you hear about what they're doing now? I don't care, but someone told me they seem really different, and I've been thinking about that for 3 days. The ones who care the least talk about you the most. The ones who are so over it can't go 3 conversations without bringing you up. You're living rent-free in minds that swore they evicted you.